Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, man. As you by a little bit of gameplay, what we're going to be using is that lightning storm Druid. You kind of seeing kind of numbers that we're going to be hitting here and there throughout this little Legion event. Now mind you, keep in mind the Legion event isn't the best indicator for how much overall damage that we could do, especially in like a Nightmare dungeon. More than likely a Nightmare dungeon I'm going to hit harder. Like all these like 1 mils and stuff like that is going to be like, I'm going to be honest, like probably like 3, 4 mil, 2 mil, stuff like that. Okay, I can definitely hit millions with this particular build here, have before, and the variation that I will display in this build will especially help with, with single target focus. Okay, now, just getting stuck left and right, huh? Now you can't see what we're going to be doing here. I'll go ahead and play out the whole Legion event for y'all, just so we can go over it all here, and just so you get a good feel of what it's doing. Now we will be able to do more damage to distant enemies, multiplicative damage that is, as opposed to close range enemies. But for purple fields like this, you have to be very close and in the mix. Now for a lot of times you will just one-shot things. Sometimes it will require a little bit more, as you can see. Sometimes I would ramp up like that, and then I would get to a point where I just one tap, really the whole room. Imagine we're doing hundreds of thousands consistently, we're critting consistently. Yeah, almost no effort whatsoever at all. You don't really have to worry about too much. It's very simple, very easy. You stand in the back and just let it rip, okay? Like a Beyblade, so to speak, you feel me? Now on tankier enemies like the elites and bosses, you will of course need a little bit more. I haven't one-shot a boss like that. I one-shot an elite, not a boss, with this build here. Sometimes we can run into spirit problems, since a lot of times we depend on our spirit playing back, whether it be spirit from kill or spirit from critical strikes. So the higher critical strike that we are doing, the more spirit that we're getting back. Okay. Now you kind of see what we're using here. So cyclone armor, the blood howl, hurricane, grizzly rage, until they ramp it up over 1,000, critical strike damage. Wind shear to have a ranged, what's it called? What is it called? A range damage spirit generator. That's what I wanted to say. Now mind you, whatever you are, for me I'm playing controller, so wherever I am like turning or making my character turn, it's where the lightning strikes are going to pretty much go towards. I know if you just do it like willy-nilly, it can auto track to some degree, but a lot of times it can not hit the enemies that you're wanting to hit. So it can be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very annoying when that does happen. I'm just gonna say annoying just to be good. Now purple fields, you already know you gotta get up in there. Now I know y'all see there's a necromancer high level up in this bad boy too, more levels than me. And you see what I'm doing, man. A lot of times he can't even touch him yet. So I'm over here putting them out. And I'll even wait on, when we do all 3 bosses, I'll even wait a second before I even touch them, alright? Now you see my homeboy Yakov in this bad boy. You go check out his channel too. It's spelled just like how his character name is spelled right there. Make some good content over there if you want to go support the boy over there. But yeah, once we get this whole Legion event done, then I'll go ahead and get into the full build breakdown, okay? I just want to show y'all a little glimpse of what the build is able to do. It is a very good build, I would say, overall. Pretty much, I would say very high A tier to almost S tier. Oh my goodness, it's not going, but I think he's supposed to be up there anyway. High A tier to S tier in terms of AoE. Single target, I would say like low A to B tier for single target. Normally I'm in like, I'm gonna be honest, a few mil. Like I normally hit like I would say 1.4 mil to about 4 mil. You know what I mean? Like that's about the range that I hit for. Now I'm going to go ahead, wait a second, let y'all see the damage. You kind of see what they doing. That's what damage I'm doing, okay? Ah, come on. I mean, no spirit already. That's another thing that we kind of are losing out, so to speak, at times whenever there is just single target, because we are so dependent on like crits and kills to get our spirit coming back. So definitely keep that in mind. But nonetheless, you will need Tempest Roar. I think I've already said that. If not, it's just another recording. Then hey, all good. Now weekly we do for more damage. Now if you are doing higher number tier dungeons, that is past tier 50, I would say, or 55, I would say, really, is when you need to go ahead and rock another chest piece. If you have another chest piece, I like to have a little bit of damage reduction with a little bit of damage. Personally, I know other people are like, oh, well, you need max life, total armor, and just damage reduction. Damage reduction. But when you do so much damage reduction, it has diminishing returns. I don't think a lot of people understand. This game is very math based, and the diminishing returns hit severely. Okay, so it's almost no point in doing that. You might as well just go ahead and get more damage in the mix. All right. I know some people will disagree with me, but hey, that's fine. That's cool. Standy, whatever. This is my opinion, and my opinion is valid for me. Okay. That's also why I typically don't like to use the damage reduction while fortified blue sapphires. Knowing we get a good amount of damage reduction anyways, but if you really want to just push the higher nightmare tiers and you really want to have as much damage reduction as possible, then I would, well, as much survivability as possible, I would swap this chest in, possibly even put on these pants, but you really want to just have these pants. And depending on what encounter you're doing, depending on what you're facing, whether it be like poisons or just plain on physical hits, whatever the case may be, I'll either go the damage reduction or the max life for the rubies or sapphires, you know what I mean, respectively, for the gear. Okay, now in terms of the gloves, we can just go down the list here if you want. In terms of gloves, ranks to lightning storm is going to be critical. This is what you really need. You preferably get all the way to 4. If you want to get to 4 when you hit ancestral gear, mind you, so keep that in mind. To get up to 4, you will need 3 ranks of lightning storm to either drop or roll onto your piece of gear. And then once you upgrade it all the way to rank 5 upgrade levels, then you will get that 4th rank there. Now if you only have 2 ranks, once you upgrade it fully, you will only get 3, so keep that in mind there. Other things that you want on your gloves, your weapon, your rings, etc., is lightning, critical strike damage, werewolf skills. Lucky hit chance can be good, but I wouldn't expect too much into it. Really want to focus on damage. Vulnerable damage, just plain out critical strike damage, critical strike chance, something that we can really use, especially if you hit about 30 to 40% total critical strike chance. Is really what you really want to be at. Damage to controlled enemies, lightning damage. Okay, you kind of see a pattern here. Damage to poison enemies is fine as well, because stuff will be poisoned as soon as we crit on them. So yeah, there's a nice amount. Damage to healthy enemies will be good to one-shot enemies. Damage to injured enemies is literally like their last 35% of health, so keep that in mind. Yeah, so I like healthy enemies preferably, just so we hurry and one-shot everything across the board. Now in the Legion event, I was hitting a little bit lower, but hey, it happens sometimes. Sometimes everything doesn't stack up the nicest, and I was even testing out different weapons here. Okay, but yeah, in terms of the gloves aspect though, what we have here, this aspect right here, okay, is lightning storm, critical strike, spawn 3 dancing bolts, seeking out enemies in the area, dealing X amount lightning damage. Okay, this is pretty good. It can be good for, it's the best AoE, and if you are struggling with single target, I would replace this one out first and put it with something like the barrier one. Now this is multiplicative damage. You get 25% increased multiplicative damage while you have a very active. It's very, very good. And there's 2 ways to get a very active, either this unique or heritage parity, which anything beyond 100% life. Mind you, you can drink a cola or a little potion. I'm thinking it's DC. You can drink a potion to pretty much get over the to get your barrier activated, or you can just have regular legendary pants, and when your life gets low, you can drink potion in, and you get barrier that way too. So either way, you can still get the barrier activated to get multiplicative damage here. That's pretty good. Now, if you do have enemies around, let's say the main boss or the elite or whatever, this helps tremendously. This is great for ad clear purposes or multiple enemy clear purposes. Okay, it's fantastic for that. It hits like 30k when it doesn't crit, all the way up to, I would say, like 100k when it doesn't crit, when everything, like all my damage ramps up kind of deal. But yeah, when it crits, it can still crit pretty high for all the little bolts. So they still do like hundreds of thousands and stuff like that. I haven't seen one hit 1,000,000, so don't think that's about to hit too high now. But yeah, it hit like hundreds of thousands nonetheless. It's pretty good all around. But it can be switched out if you want to do more single target. Now for the pants, we already went over the intrinsic trait. Everything on the pants is pretty much damage reduction. That's pretty much what you want to have, unless you're using tempority here. Then that's okay. I also got 3 ranks of Hurricane just because it was a little bit more damage when enemies do get close. It's not needed as a raw because we only use Hurricane to buff up our Lightning Storm. We don't really use Hurricane for the damage of it. Now for the boots, Max Evade Charge is my preferred one, so I think it's the best one in the game. I know some people like your attacks reduce the cooldown of your evade charge. That's cool if you like that. Or even the movement speed one where you get like 50% increased movement speed after you do an evade charge. So, hey, that's cool too. I like the max evade charge personally, just because in combat you're able to juke them out and all that, so it's pretty good. Now the boots, I like these boots a lot. All stats helps Paragon board, helps us with our crits, our resource generation, and our overall damage. Okay. Damage reduction while injured is when pretty much helping us out right here. So when we are in the injured range, which is 35% of life or below, we are able to get that barrier. So we actually use our cola, and we have enough damage reduction when we are that low to stay alive. You know what I mean? So definitely keep that in mind. Total armor while in werewolf form, really good all around. Spirit cost reduction is a must. I'll say it's a must. You want to have as much spirit cost reduction as possible. Okay, that's why some of my gear is not best rolled for. I also like spirit cost reduction here in the amulet and also in the totem. But you saw I have it in totem, but I don't think I have it in the amulet. So yeah. But in terms of the aspect, we have while Hurricane's active, we get +2 ranks to our shapeshifting skills. Now actually by Battle Cleave, we also get +3 ranks to our werewolf skill, all werewolf skills. And our storm skills are not werewolf skills, so all these shape-shifting werewolf skills are getting +5 rank when Hurricane's active, and just +3 whenever. So it's good across the board. And even the lucky hit chance is a good one. One, to trigger the Tempest Roar Helmet spirit back, but also you'll see some stuff with the spirit bones that we'll have here as well, okay? And even in our skill tree, there's some good stuff that we use like it for. In terms of a weapon, you want to get as high as possible item level weapon. Okay, that gets your damage per second up and all your damage scales off your damage per second, so keep that in mind. I recommend legendary axes since they will do damage to healthy enemies. You cannot overpower with a channel skill, so maces are no good for us. Okay, just missing out on free damage. Healthy enemies, bounce to one-shot stuff, things like what, 80% health and above is healthy considered. So hey, you're good to go there. We already talked about the affixes for it. In terms of the aspect, Crystal Strike and Storm skills that you cast charge air around you for 2 seconds, causing the lightning bolt to periodically hit an enemy in the area for that amount of damage. This duration can be extended by additional critical strikes. Since we crit so much, it's almost always up. It's just free extra lightning bolts. They also scale pretty high. It can go a little bit higher actually at 6,000. So definitely keep that in mind. It's around like 6,000, but in terms of actual damage, I've seen this hit like about 1 mil. So pretty good. Free mil damage, let's be honest. I'm hitting like, a few mil, you know what I mean? Like 1 to 4 on average, just to keep going. So that's pretty good all around. I need to move around so I don't get disconnected. Now in terms of our totem, I kind of already said spirit cost reduction, cooldown reduction is good. Critical strike chance is good. All stats and willpower are decent. You can definitely switch those out if you want to have like more research generation, lucky hit chance, also viable options. But willpower is more for damage. All stats, Paragon board, or damage, or crits, research generation, etc. So it's good across the board. I already went over the affects here. In terms of the actual aspect, we're gonna get that one where we do multiplicative damage while standing still up to 30%. Hopefully you get a better roll. I have a 9% one, but I was thinking about changing this one out with something else, and I kept going back and forth on it, and this one is pretty much good. You're able to get in a like stand spot pretty consistently, and for the most part, as soon as you stop, you at least get the 8% off rip. So there's nothing else that's really that good, and since our spirit cost can depend heavily on what we are doing, you don't really want that one where you do that 20% increased damage depending on how high your spirit reservoir is filled up. That one's not good for us since we do go down our spirit sometimes occasionally, but other times we're like all the way filled up all the time. So run through a lot of ads, you're going to be filled up regardless. Second target is where you start to low dip, so keep that in mind, okay? Now on the other ring, we have that Grizzly Rage duration extension and all the multiplicative critical strike damage that we're going to get up to. This is how we can get Grizzly Rage to hit way over 1,000 critical strike damage, so this is just fantastic. Must have, 10 out of 10, must try again, all that stuff, right? We get the 5 seconds on this, the maxed out roll of it, very good. There's no point in putting it on 2 and weapon to put here. You just lose out on more damage overall. Mind you, you'll do good damage while in Grizzly Rage, but you need outside of Grizzly Rage as well, since Grizzly Rage will always be active. Now, in terms of our amulet, I already said that I would like the spirit cost reduction on this, but the +3 ranks to Envenom is majorly key. You want to have the 2 ranks. Then once you rank it up, you get another rank. So hey, that's good. What we have in terms of the actual aspect though is our core skill still up to 60% on the maxed out roll of this damage based on the amount of fortify. Okay, so to take full advantage of this as high as possible buff that we're going to get from this, you really want to get the fortify up, and I'm going to show you a few ways that we can get that fortify up with this build. Now that being one in our spirit boon, this gonna be one of the main keys. Not what we're in this here, but this is what you want to have for the first one. Damage reduction from elites. Avian Wrath is what I have right here. It's multiplicative critical strike damage, really good. I did have the slice talons for the extra critical strike chance, but it's not needed, especially when you're at higher tiers. I'll definitely swap this chance out for this fortify right here. That's how we get the max fortify pretty much at all times when we're running, just because we have 2 defense skills, cyclone armor and blood howl, and we're able just to go, keep using, and then once you get like 4 kills, because each kill from blood howl reduces the cooldown of it. Once you get like 4 kills, bam, blood howl, or I think maybe a little bit more, but you get a couple kills, hey, blood howl's right back on, you can hit it again, get it even more fortified. So it's going to happen real quick, and if we're in Grizzly Rage, you also get fortified per second, so it's always good there too. So fortified is going to be no problem whatsoever at all for us. And then our extended duration and our ultimate, which is going to be Grizzly Rage with Calamity here, it's very good. Now if you want good quality of life to pretty much ensure that Grizzly Rage is going to be up as much as possible, get Calm Before the Storm. This is where a lucky hit once again comes into consideration. Nature and magic skills is going to be pretty much all of our skills, since all the skills that does damage anyways. Our Wind Shear, Lightning Storm, and a Hurricane all do lightning damage. I'll do nature, magic, and storm damage. They're storm skills, so anything that we hit with those can have a chance to reduce our cooldown by 2 seconds. And mind you, this can proc back to back. And then we have multiple enemies. So let's say we get 1 lucky hit proc, we get like 8 enemies. Our lucky hit chance with this is pretty much going to get our Grizzly Rage right back. Okay, that's very good. And another thing you could do with something like Overload, you really don't need Masochistic. It's really overkill. There's no point in keep having this. No point was Overload, okay? Now, one thing you could do is Overload, just for more, I would say more AoE damage, but you don't need it. It's already very good AoE. You can scale this up, but you just can't scale it as high since its base value is so low. It's not hitting no millions. You can probably hit on the lower end of 100,000s, but yeah. Home for Storm just allows you to get that back in the Grizzly Rage, and all your stuff hits a lot better. Now, in terms of our actual skill tree, you can kind of see a little overview of and passing everything up. Wind Shear, we already talked about, get 2, so I mean, hey, you make it vulnerable, I guess. I used to get the Wild Wind Shear right here to get more spirit back, but I notice whenever I do run out of spirit, it's more than likely when I'm doing single target. So this became, don't need anymore. Now, we want to come down here, get 1 Heart of Wild, max out Wild Impulses, so you have more of our core skill, i.e. Lightning Storm, do more damage. That will cost a little more. Now, I used to get Abundance, and if you're a lower level, if you're really struggling with the spirit, you definitely need Abundance. It's gonna save you from hitting this. Instead of 5 times, you only had to hit it like once or twice, you know what I mean? And be good to go. The Paragon board is really gonna be where a lot of our spirit comes into play, so keep that in mind. Oh, he dropped some for me. But then we want to max out Lightning Storm. You'll get all 5 ranks. All the extra ranks come from our gear, so keep that in mind. Enhanced Lightning Storm and then Primal Lightning Storm just to helpfully immobilize them. Now, we could get the Raging Lightning Storm, but the Immobilize will allow us to scale our damage up quite a bit, so we definitely want to get that one right there. Now, one thing you can also do is spec into this one here, the Predator Instinct, get more critical strike chance. I didn't see it very useful, especially in the higher Nightmare tiers, because I want to stay away from them as much as possible. And in doing that, I'm not getting no close range enemies. Okay? Now, close range enemy is pretty much any enemy that can be touched by Cyclone Armor when you hit the extra armor itself to do the knockback. The Blast Wave Shrine. Any enemy within that range is close range, and then outside of that is distance, so that's how you can gauge that. But yeah, speaking of that, Cyclone Armor, just put 1 into it. Enhanced Cyclone Armor, and then you'll go Preserve Cyclone Armor, just to get the extra damage reduction. It's good. It is very good when it does happen. Now, it doesn't always happen, so it's not the most reliable, but hey, when it does happen, it's very good. Blood Owl, it heals you. It's pretty good for that. A little substitute in, and you can also, if you're using Temperity, you can also definitely use that for Temperity and get the extra barrier right there. They get that, damage on barrier. So hey, it just helps you there. As you see right here, kills reduces the cooldown. Blood Owl for 1 second. So get a few kills, comes right back. Now we're gonna get the increased attack speed. It's pretty good. You only get 4 seconds, so it's like but if you are struggling that much with Spirit, go ahead and get the Spirit. It's going to be good. You can still get it. It's all good. No matter. Now, one thing I really like to do is to get one, and that's Sexual Fortitude. So we really come over here to Vigilant, which again, 15% damage reduction after using a defense skill. Both these are defense skills. So, hey, just use one, get 15 extra damage reduction on top of the non-physical damage reduction that you have here, and the 30% damage reduction that you could get there. So it's just good all around. And the fact that we're popping this so many times, you're getting 15% damage reduction very consistently. Mind you, damage reduction comes with diminishing returns. Is why I was saying about the pants and stuff and the chest, why you don't really need, if you are going to be going without, you don't really need to have that much damage reduction. It's diminishing returns. You're not getting that much out of it. Now, one thing that we do to more distant enemies is increase our damage towards them. Multiply the damage that is, so it's going to be very, very good. Now, stun, slow, or immobilized enemies, or even knockback, do more damage. Now, we knock back and slow with Cyclone Armor. Gives you a little knockback and slowed by them. So, hey, that is good there. Stunned. Doesn't really happen too often, to be honest with you. But immobilized, we get immobilized from a lightning storm. So, hey, just all around get more and more multiplicative damage. Now, mind you, this will double, so it's be 18% multiplicative damage if they are distant and have one of these control effects on them. It's very, very good all around. Now, in terms of this, I know some people are going to be raging. Why do you have a point here? Why do you have a point here? It's all good. Just follow me along, okay? One, we only get this because we have to get the other stuff. So hey, I guess vulnerable, whatever. But we already get vulnerable from the exploit glyph, so it don't matter. Maxes one out as high as possible, so you have increased duration for Hurricane by 15%. It's multiplicative, mind you, so keep that in mind. This is very, very good, so we can keep having our Hurricane active to get the extra 2 rings, okay? And then we also want to go ahead and put one into here just to get another lightning bolt. Now this 45% damage, you can scale it up, similar to the overload, which is on 25% damage. So it's gonna hit pretty hard nonetheless, okay? Similar to the one that's on our gear, it's gonna hit pretty hard. Now, we also got 3 into here, which dealing lightning damage to enemies has 15% chance to immobilize them. That's another lucky hit one. That's why we want our lucky hit a little up there. Immobilize for 3 seconds. If the target's already immobilized, well, the lightning damage dealt to them is increased by 18% multiplicative damage instead. Now, we already have a chance to immobilize from here. Plus we have immobilize them here, so we're more than likely gonna get that 18% multiplicative damage. You see what I'm talking about? This is very, very good to have. Okay, and then we have another bad omen, 10% chance like hit to vulnerable, immobilize or stun enemies. Lightning bolt 55. This one hits even harder, and you can keep having an increased chance if you put more points into it. So keep that in mind. This one hit the hardest, second hardest, last. But yeah, nonetheless, it's still pretty good. Hurricane, put one into there, one to get enhanced hurricane, so people are slowed, i.e., the crowd control that we get the extra damage from, just like cyclone armor, if they do get close to us. And then savage hurricane. Now, enemies affected by hurricane deal 20% less damage, so even if we do get in close range combat, they deal 20% less damage to us. We're gonna be safe. We're gonna be good. We can run into them like purple aura fields and still be okay. Now, this is why we need Envenom. We get one neurotoxin, poison enemies are slowed, so we're gonna take advantage of that slow from a distance. Anyways, once we crit, how we get to have once we crit, critical strikes with wearable skills, i.e., everything we use now, deal a percentage of their, base damage as poison damage over 4 seconds. Hey, that's a-okay. Don't matter how many seconds, because we only need it for a second or 2. And then look, Envenom, you and your companion. I know it says plus, but it's multiplicative still. Deal 60%. It will just be 30 if you can only spec into 3 into it. I get the extra 3 rings thing for my necklace, my amulet, whatever you want to call it. Critical strike damage to poison enemies. So hey, as soon as we crit, they're slowed. We do more damage to them thanks to all the other stuff in the skill tree. Plus, we do more critical strike damage to them as well. It's just beautiful, beautiful synergy. Now we come over here, get all 3 rings to define. Since nature magic skill, we are using lightning storm. And what does that say? Nature magic. I know, fantastic. So I do more multiplicative damage to bosses and elites, really, pretty much. Once again, stunned, immobilized, not back enemies. Do more 12% multiplicative damage to them. Then we can go over resonance and just get a little more damage out there. Nature magic skills do 6% increase multiplicative damage to your enemies. Now I do have 2 ranks in the defensive posture, which just increased the amount of fortify we gain. Mind you, we're getting fortified from here, as well as when we come over here to Grizzly Rage. Now you see we got our damage. We're supposed to get damage reduction and all that. We will get some damage gained, multiplicative that is, when using it. But thanks to our aspect right here, we get movement speed and spirit cost reduction instead. Now when we come down here, we can get unstoppable for the 6 seconds. First 6 seconds of Grizzly Rage. Kind of is bad, they nerfed that, but hey, it is what it is. And then right here, get 8% base life as fortify per second along Grizzly Rage. And since we have our aspect that keeps us in Grizzly Rage longer, plus the Grizzly Rage itself, plus the Spirit Boon that makes it longer, you see, our fortify is going to be very healthy. Now, the last thing that we're going to get for our key passive is going to be right here. Every 6th werewolf skill critically strikes and deals 70% multiplicative increased damage. This is key. I saw everyone was using Earthen Might. Earthen Might does not really increase your damage by that much. Yes, it can help you a little bit on spirit cost, but it's not reliable because it's lucky hit based. Keep that in mind. Now, you also got to keep in mind it's only 5% chance when you hit a lucky hit chance, okay? Or 10% chance when you end up hitting a lucky hit chance, okay? So keep that in mind. It takes a while. It's not reliable like that. I don't know why everyone keeps using it. Everyone, like, you can use it, but unless your lucky hit chance is just up there like that, it's not that reliable for you to just keep using it and miss out on the 70% multiplicative damage like you're missing here. Or even if you're having spirit generation issues, this right here with Perk Storm pretty much remedied it for me, okay? You get 1 spirit for, you know, hitting the storm skill for 1, 15% multiplicative damage to enemies that are vulnerable, immobilized, or slowed. And we already get vulnerable, immobilized, and slowed. I just explained how we get them. So that's good. So yeah, it's just good all around. In terms of our Paragon board, I'm just gonna pretty much go over some nodes, and you can kind of take screenshots as needed and all that. I don't have it up on the website. I am starting now to make on the the D4 builds for the Discord stuff. I'm gonna have my Discord server up here soon. I'm making it now, trying to get it all established and have all the builds up there as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. But yeah, you can kind of see what I'm going here. Get all the damage stuff. You don't need resistances. Resistances is still not good. I have the exploit glyph in here because this is pretty much first and foremost what you want to have. Make everything vulnerable by just touching it. It's good. Okay. Next one I have is the storm skills. Does 30% increase multiplicative damage to vulnerable or immobilized enemies. Once again, we already can do both of those things, so multiplicative damage is good. Okay, get your, your tempest, get all your stuff that increase your damage, vulnerable damage. That was multiplicative there. Critical strike damage. Alright, come in the middle, get more critical strike damage controlled enemies. Then I got over here the lightning damage, since we're doing lightning damage, and then this is good. The fulminate, I don't know, fulminate, I don't know how to say that per se, but yeah, it's good. We get lightning damage increase as well as multiplicative lightning damage increase to healthy enemies, so when they're 80% or above, or injured enemies 35% and below. So we're good to start stuff and end stuff right here with this one glyph right here. And I don't see a lot of people using it too. I don't know why. It's multiplicative damage. It has damage in both ways. I don't know, but yeah. And then we come up here, get our Lust for Carnage, our Critical Strikes, Werewolf skills, restore 2 spirit. Now this is something that can stack with Earth and Might and all that, so you are getting good stuff. You are critting a lot with Earth and Might, and that's what people with Earth and Might really do. But as you stall with the other one, this guarantees us every 6 Werewolf skill hit. And mind you, Lightning Storm hits a lot of enemies at once, so it's pretty much almost always guaranteed that you're gonna hit multiple enemies, okay? So you hit 5 at once right there. We could get an additional 1 right there if we really wanted to, and just have a constant, always gonna have this up. So literally every 2 seconds you have this passive up, and it always crits. So that's good there. And it always critting. You get some spirit back for it. Perfect. Get your werewolf damage, critical strike damage. And this one I have the glyph, werewolf glyph. So, damage reduction while in werewolf form, get increased damage while in werewolf form. It's good both ways. Get more werewolf damage here, and then come back down, come over, and we're gonna get this one right here, ancestral guidance. Okay, after 75 spirit, which happens, kind of fast. I ain't gonna front, cause we just hold it down to 10 with it all and just kill everything across the map. So hey. Again, even 30%, even more multiplicative damage there. Get everything, spirit on kill and all that. Max spirit is okay, it's not needed. Spirit on kill, spirit on kill. So we pretty much have 4 spirit on kill, plus 2 whenever we critically strike. So that's like 6 right there. And just the fact that it's hitting back to back to back to back, it's gonna be very fast. Plus in Grizzly Rage, we have the spirit cost reduction, plus on our gear we have spirit cost reduction. You see, it just pairs so nicely with it all. Now I came over here to get this core skill damage, put this glyph in it, earth and sky, multiplicative damage to crowd control enemies. So the immobilize, the stun, the slowed, as well as the vulnerable enemies. Okay, so it's just very, very good right here. Multiplicative 10%, very good all around. Plus core skill. Now I'm actually gonna come over here, and the last board I'm gonna be able to get is this one with heightened malice. Now what you want to do is go ahead and rotate this either this way and come over here and get the damage poison enemies. Mind you, you already saw with the envenom and all that, whenever we critically strike, when we get the enemy, if it's still alive, it's going to be poisoned. So then we're able to finish it out, and this is going to really allow us to do more damage to bosses here. Okay, and the last actual glyph I'll show you in a sec, but pretty much you want to come here, get these and those here, get the glyph, get where we need to do that. You want to also come in the middle, get more damage to poison enemies, and also get these image to elite, damage to poison enemies, get all these over here. Then you actually want to stay in the middle section here. Come over, you don't need all this stuff. I mean, you can get max life and stuff, but hey, get heightened malice. When enemies are near you and you critically strike against them, then you just quickly ramp up your damage even higher, more multiplicative damage. It's so much more multiplicative damage, man. I'm be hitting so hard. It is absolutely insane and ridiculous. Okay, now what I want to use in terms of glyphs, I already went over that. We got all these other ones: Earth to Sky, Werewolf, Fulment, the Exploit. The last one I would do is Spirit. Okay, so doing multiplicative damage to them, more critical strike damage, very good all around. And people that don't like Spirit for whatever reason, I don't know why. The other one you can do is Fang and Claw if they're close to you, Territorial if they're close to you, and so you can stay alive when they're close to you. Or even just Undaunted, since we will be fortified all the time and we have more damage reduction while fortified, increased damage while fortified. I mean, there's different things you can do. I wouldn't get outmatched because it's physical damage, and Lightning Storm is not physical damage, so keep that in mind. You could get something like Keeper, since it's non-physical damage. That Lightning Storm it's more multiplicative right there. Trying to think, is there anything else you can't overpower? That's not good. You can get Bane, I guess, if you want, just to help with the single target aspect of it. Yeah, I think that's or Tracker. You do more decreased damage to poison enemies, and poison lasts more 30% multiplicative wise longer. That is good. But yeah, I'll get Spirit first and foremost. Tracker probably second, just because I don't really have a problem too much close enemies. I try to stay at a distance anyways. But if you are having problems with close enemies for whatever reason, yeah, something like Fang and Claw will probably be a little bit better than Territorial, just because more multiplicative damage. So yeah, but other than that, that is the build right there. You can see how I go about it. I like to just go left to right across the board, do that, and then just go ahead and have at it per se. Okay, so let me know how you like the build down below. I did already tell you about getting more multiplicative damage right there with Very Active, and how to get Very Active with the parity there. So without further ado, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out, and all the other good stuff. And yeah, stay tuned in for the next build. Pay attention to the channel, because I should have a link very soon for my Discord, and have this build in the Discord, as well as some of the other ones that I'm going to be making quickly online as well. But yeah, this video's already long enough, so peace and shalom, y'all. Appreciate every last one of y'all. Love y'all.